Hi, Kaylee. Thank you for being here and thank you for doing this. Will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Kaylee. I did 75 months in Coffee Creek for manslaughter 2, which is adds up to 6 years and 3 months, and I have been out since November 25th, so a little over 4 months now.
Not very long.
No,
Does it feel like it's been a long time?
it depends on the day. Sometimes it feels like it was like just a couple weeks ago because I'm scrambling a lot around in my brain and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And sometimes it feels like it was forever ago.
Hmm. When you first got out, did you feel prepared for getting out?
Yes and no. Um, it kind of depends on like what was on my mind. So in some ways, I thought I was very prepared mentally, and in other ways, I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to figure that out, but I guess I'll take it as I go.
Hmm. Was there anything that you did while you were inside to prepare for getting out?
Yeah, so I graduated beauty school and got my cosmetology license. I took a couple of self-help classes, the ones that I felt applied to me and my background. Um, I met this lady who's my boss who's like really freaking cool and she offered me a job.
She
So,
does sound amazing. She's
yeah,
pretty great.
she's all right. Yeah. Um and so I had a job leaving, which was good. So I really thought I was like I had a good support system and I was ready to go.
And then how did that go?
Well, it did and it didn't. So in some ways it was really good and at first I was doing really good because I was staying involved with people who were paroling because that was um, part of my job description. And it felt really good and helped me, um, I guess, give myself hope by being there for other people and helping be part of their success or having a good time getting out. Um, but it didn't last. It didn't last very long. I was so before I went to prison, I was in and out of prostitution and sex trafficking for a long time, like my whole adult life, pretty much from the age of like 20 until I got arrested when I was 28. And I even continued those behaviors while I was in prison by meeting men on pen pal websites and stuff like that. So um, my crime was also gang related. Um, so I knew there was a lot of people that I cared about at one time and considered like close friends that I needed to stay away from. But when I got out, it was not that easy. Um, I was married to my co-defendant and divorced him before I released in hopes that like I was going to be able to cut those people off and stay away from everything that has to do with that. I was also 8 months pregnant with his baby. So I knew that was like another tie that was going to be really hard to navigate. So, long story short, I get out and I feel like nobody can relate to me except for these people that I knew had a criminal history, that like knew me during that time when I caught my case, that could relate to how hard it was to get out of prison. So I started talking to them again. I hung out with them a couple times, and before I knew it, I was so stressed out about trying to get back on my feet that I was involved in all of the old things that I wanted to stay away from so bad, that I knew were going to be bad for me.
Why do you think it's easier to go back to old things than stick to the new things, the new plan?
um, well, for one, like I was saying, those people can just relate to me and understand me, and they just accept me for who I am. They're not going to tell me what I should and shouldn't do because they understand. But also, getting out, it feels like when you're in prison, it's kind of like it's like a time warp. It's like your life just goes on pause because like you're just in this little microcosm that is its own environment and world with its own rules and own people and own ways of doing things. And yeah, life is happening outside all around you. Like your family and friends go on with whatever they're doing. Everything's moving so fast and life is just still happening, but you don't realize it because you don't see it. You don't get to talk to them very often. A lot of people do have like a lot of visitors and support and stuff like that, but some people don't have it very often. So you don't realize that like life is just still happening and you're just stuck in there. So when I got out, it was like I was just picking up right where I left off. Like I was the same person with the same life, talking to the same people. And I don't know how else other to describe it than that. It's just like my life was on hold and I got to start going exactly where I left off.
You were, I had the honor and the privilege of being with you on the day that you got out. And it was such an exciting day. And for a while thereafter too, like you were super focused and super on track and like really knew what you wanted your life to be. And then life stressors, because life keeps happening. Um, Life kept getting harder and harder.
Yeah. Well, you have to start dealing with things face to face when you're out here instead of virtually. It's like it's not really your responsibility and you're so helpless and out of power and control when you're locked up that there's literally nothing you can do when your family is having problems, when something's happening with your kids. You're just so like binded that you eventually just like for me, I just like kind of turned that part of my brain off and had to accept everything that was happening without feeling about it. Like I was just at full acceptance at some point during my time. It took me like 3 years to like, I cried like every day for like 3 years, wondering when they were going to let me out. And I remember waking up one day like, oh shit, they're really not letting me out of here. Like, I better start accepting this shit and just focus on me and do my time. So eventually you just change your way of thinking about your real life responsibilities. And I feel like now it's hard to undo that.
So it took you a few years when you were inside to say like, okay, this is how life is going to be for a little while. This is
Mhm.
like I need to shift my mentality to survive this basically.
Right.
Um,
And I'm good at being in survival mode. I was in survival mode for a long time. It was just different circumstances. So I had to learn how to like shift that a little bit to apply to the situation I was in.
Hmm. Have you thought about how you can shift that to apply to life now?
Um, well, I guess it's something I think about all the time, just not consciously like that.
Mm.
Like, not in those words. Like, I know it's a thought in the back of my head that's like, fuck, how am I going to figure this out?
Mm.
But it doesn't quite, it doesn't quite click like that because I feel like I'm still in survival mode.
Mhm.
But that's what the system does to you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very hard to deprogram from that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, or you are in a type of survival mode too, in learning how to do life a different a different way than you've ever done before, and doing that without having been taught how to do that while you were inside.
Right. Well, and as an adult before I got in here, I wasn't living normal life anyway. Like I tried a couple times throughout my 20s to leave that lifestyle and it would last like 3 months or 6 months or like one time I made it like a year and I went through a messy breakup and I was like, "Well, fuck it, you know? I don't have shit to lose now." So it just is something that I never learned how to do on my own, for one, but also something that they don't actually like, they try to prepare you for it by giving you all the classes, the release classes, like employment classes, how to make a resume, you know, how to apply for jobs and money management and things like that. And like, yeah, you can learn that in a book and store that information in your brain, but applying it is completely different. Like, there's no there's no guidance. Like you're supposed to use your parole officer like as a resource if you need help with stuff, but you don't fucking trust those people, you
Yeah.
know? Look at what they did to you when you were in prison. They work for the government. They're pretty much to us, they're like cops. So it's like how honest can you really be? How can you really get the help you need without risking going back to jail for telling the truth?
Mm. Yeah. What would be helpful instead?
I don't know. There needs to be some kind of program or release center or hands-on opportunity for everybody to have like a life coach or mentor that's not a mandatory reporter or something like that that works in a facility because a lot of times even when you go to the things that are available, which for women it's not nearly as much as men, not at all. So women I feel like struggle a lot more with stuff like that when they're getting ready to release. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's like really a way to fix it
Mm.
or to make sure that everybody's like 100% successful because a lot of the resources that are available are like addict motivated. So it's like a lot of people with drug problems and stuff like that. But there's also people that have different problems that like, you know, that were like trafficked and don't have drug problems and everybody's just so different. It would be hard to be truthful enough
Mm.
to get the help that you actually need
What motivates you to want to help other women in these same kinds of situations?
because this fucking sucks. Like I don't want to feel like this. I don't want anybody else to feel like this. Like it doing it the hard way or doing it the wrong way is a lot easier, but doing it the right way is so much harder and it's like sometimes we just don't have those cognitive patterns or skills in our brain to help us navigate what we're actually supposed to do in certain situations.
Mm.
So if I have like been through it and lived through it, at least I have like a little bit of experience and lived experience to be like, no, don't do that or don't say that. This is what I had to do when I had this problem, or I know of these people, or whatever the case may be.
Mhm. Mhm. As you get connected with more and more groups trying to help women, trying to help survivors of trafficking, trying to help anybody who's been incarcerated, that will build out your support system, bolster your support system with people who still get it, but have different responses to
Mm-hmm.
how they deal with it. And that's so valuable. And as you continue to build your network, you'll be able to share that with even more women and help even more women. And you have already, whether you feel like it or not, you have already helped women, other women since being out. I know when we've gone to some releases, they're so excited to see you, and it's it gives them hope to see you
Yeah,
on the outside.
I know. I've heard of them, like when you guys go inside the prison to visit, sometimes like talking about me and asking about me and stuff. And I'm so proud of her. And
Yeah.
hey, well, I hope you're still proud after you know that I've been fucking up. And if you do fuck up like me, it's okay. It's gonna be fun.
Okay. So you just said that it's okay, which you would say to them. Can you say that to yourself?
Well, not at this moment since I just a couple days ago got pulled over out of state for a DUI with a bunch of weed in my car that I am waiting to talk to my parole officer about tomorrow. So I know that, like, what I mean when I say it's okay is like, it's you're never going to do it perfect. You know, like I'm always going to make mistakes. It's it is what it is, but all I can do is like try to do the right thing afterwards and try to get the help that I need and be transparent and honest with myself, I guess. And so I guess that's what I mean by saying it's okay. Like, obviously, it's not okay to do that when you're on parole, but like, it's okay that you're not going to do it perfect.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody makes mistakes. Some are
Mm-hmm.
at different degrees and different types, but it's not the mistake that matters, but how you move on from it. That counts. And I'm excited to see you moving on, and we'll see what happens. Um, if you do have to go back inside for a little bit, do you feel like you're prepared for that?
Nope. Or, well, for me, like, yeah, I know I'm going to be fine. Like, I know how to navigate prison. I know what it's like to be locked up. It it really sucks, but at least I'm not going into it blind and scared like I was the first time, because when I got locked up I had really never done any jail time. Like, I'd been like booked and released a couple of times, but I had never actually been in trouble. So I was terrified facing 25 to life, 8 months pregnant with my son, sitting in jail with no no way out of my head, of my own head. So yes, in that way I feel prepared, but like with my family life, with like my kids and my mom and everything else, how it's going to affect them, no, definitely not prepared for that.
Yeah. And that seems to be at the forefront of your mind now. Was that at the forefront of your mind before? I mean, when you went in the first time.
Well, well, yes, when I realized um that I was going to do a lot of time, yeah, it was the biggest stressor. That It was the only thing I thought about. I
Mhm.
knew my baby was going to get taken away after I gave birth to him in jail. And it yeah, just everything was I can't even really describe what it felt like now, because at the time it felt so heavy, but now I think I tried to block it out a little bit because it was so mentally traumatizing that I can't really remember what it felt like at the same time knowing it was the worst feeling I had ever felt.
And now you're feeling pretty close to that again. Sounds like.
No, yeah, it's terrifying.
So our hope is that, first of all, that you don't go back. Definitely don't want you to go back. Um,
Yeah.
but that this ends up being, I don't know the right words to use. Wake up call feels insulting, and I don't mean anything insulting by that, but maybe like the launching point that perhaps you needed to get you back on
Yeah, to
focusing
be
on what
like
you wanted to be 4 months
yeah,
ago.
to be like you better figure it out. This is serious. You're still in our eyes, you're still a criminal. We still got to babysit you to and the way that they say it is like it's such a mind fuck sometimes because they say that they want to help you with what it is that you need, but like I was saying before, it's so hard to trust them. So how else do you like go in there and tell on yourself if you've already gotten away with it?
Yeah.
Like it just is yeah.
Yeah, there has to be support outside of somebody connected to the criminal justice and criminal legal system.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. Mhm.
Yeah. We're going to solve that though.
Okay. Hopefully.
Um, is there anything that you think students need to know about reentry? Anything that you want to make sure you get in?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like just think of it as like yeah, people getting out of prison are like now I know where the term hard comes from because it
Mm,
literally hardens you. You don't even do it on purpose, but you have to like put all these walls up and block everybody out and mind your business to avoid the drama and all those things. And so yeah, on the outside like it appears like we're a ton of bricks, but we are like the thinnest sheet of ice. Like just fragile. And half of the time when people were like giving me advice or trying to help me, I couldn't even slow my brain down enough to take in what they were saying. Or I was so overwhelmed with my own feelings or lack of feelings and whatever else was going on that I couldn't even begin to comprehend like what what they were trying to tell me or help me with.
mhm,
So it's just a process and this is just my experience personally, but I feel like some people do handle it differently, but they may have, everybody has different variables in their life. So it's just a process and I feel like the people that I've talked to who have been out for like a couple years or something say that like you never really quite feel like you fit in again. Like
mm,
I feel like an alien all the time and I was locked up during COVID. So the world is so different now that like I just learned how to use Apple Pay like 2 days ago. And my daughter had to tell me, my 12-year-old daughter, I like asked the lady at McDonald's, I was like, how do you do Apple Pay? And she was like, oh, you have to double click the button, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So it's like, there's like little things that remind me on a daily basis that I am just a little different and that's okay. But it's really hard to deal with it. And sometimes it triggers
mm.
a lot of trauma and memories and then you start getting down on yourself like God, I'm so different. I'm never going to fit in again. Nobody's ever going to understand me again. And so, yeah, just know that we are alienated. And it's a really weird place to be. I feel like I'm kind of in between two different dimensions all
Mm.
the time. Like I can't really get a grip on reality.
Yeah, that actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because my reality was different than this reality.
Yeah. A lot of a lot of people end up back in the system. There's there's a lot of, we've seen that a ton at Coffee Creek of women who have been there 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Well,
Why
they
do you?
call it the system for a reason. You
Hmm.
know, they designed it that way. So it is a system, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say people are set up to fail more often than they're set up to succeed?
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
For sure. Yeah. And I never thought I was going to be one of those people who was not following the rules on parole. I was going to do everything the right way because I had it under control. And, you know, there's a lot of people in prison that like judge people that come back a second or third time, like the officers in particular. It's like, oh, wow, you're back. I'm not surprised. Like they say a lot of judgmental things like that. And it's just like, dude, you don't know what it's like to be me. Like you can say whatever you want, but it's fucked up, honestly.
Yeah. One of the things we've said with crew is that we don't care how many times somebody comes up, how many times they ask for our help when they get out again. Um, we don't care, you know, they still matter. You
Yeah.
still matter. And I hope you don't go back, but if you do, I'll pick you up again.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. I better memorize your phone number now, huh?
We'll work out the details. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a message of hope that you can think of to wrap up this interview?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. I don't even know.
What's something good since you've been out?
Something good.
Hmm.
I mean, a lot of things have been good. Like being able to be with my family again and stuff like that. But the little things, like those are big things, but like the little things really make a difference. Like having my own space and getting to do whatever I want with it, you know, having my own clothes and being my own person, but it's just it's always still that struggle of trying to like redefine who I am because I don't want my past to define me so bad that like I don't really know who I am now. So I guess it's good just to have awareness that it's going to be a learning process in a lot of ways, but even the ways that I didn't realize until I came across them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one day at a time, one step at a time.
Yeah.
And you're doing it. You're doing it, whether it feels like it or not. You're doing
Well, it doesn't right now. I'm definitely a hot mess right now, but
it.
it's not the end of the world. It could be better, but it could be worse, and I just have to face it head on. I just have to face it head on and deal with it because I'm the one that I'm the one that made the choices that I've made.
Yeah.
So,
And you're also the one who will be making the choices going forward for how you're going to live and what you're going to do.
mhm.
And you have a lot of strength. You're strong and smart and funny, and you laugh at my jokes. So obviously you have a good sense of humor. So I expect I expect very good things, as I always have.
Thank you. So, I mean, I do too. I know I'm capable of better.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
also am aware that I'm learning how to do that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's going to be all right.
It is. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up on that. Thank you again for doing this.
Thank you.